unified official language. This pattern repeats across the globe. In places like Japan, standardizing the spoken word was viewed as a primary engine for standardizing the nation itself. Then we look at the Indian subcontinent. Here, the map splinters into hundreds of distinct mother tongues, sprawling across varying topographies and thousands of years of separate literary traditions. Imposing a single standardized language over a geography this complex practically guarantees massive cultural erasure. Pressing 1 billion-plus people into one linguistic mold risks fracturing the population entirely. In 1947, as the transition to a sovereign republic began, the founding leaders faced an immediate crisis of scale. They needed to forge a single, functioning democracy out of this staggering human density. Inside the Constituent Assembly, lawmakers had to make a choice. They could attempt to force uniformity from the top down, or they could draft a legal framework that actively embraced the linguistic chaos. Their solution was the 8th Schedule of the Constitution. It rejected the traditional single-language nation-building model entirely. This infographic charts exactly how that constitutional framework operates. Rather than elevating one tongue above all others, the 8th Schedule legally recognized an expanding list of regional languages as official. It began with 14 and has grown to 22 today. This list acts as a legally binding mechanism, built to hold a massive republic together through enforced pluralism. Looking at the visual breakdown, we see demographic giants from the Indo-Aryan family. Hindi and Bengali alone represent hundreds of millions of speakers. Alongside them sit the ancient Dravidian languages of the south, Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, and Malayalam. The list also protects unique linguistic spaces, including Sanskrit, a liturgical language, and Nepali. Because the Constitution adapts, lawmakers continually amended the schedule, adding minority tribal identities like Bodo, Dogri, and Santali. The resulting grid guarantees the exact same legal standing to massive demographic majorities as it does to highly localized minority voices. So, what practical civic power does a language actually gain when it makes it onto this list? Inclusion ensures citizens can actively participate in the state apparatus. Most notably, candidates can take the massive, highly competitive federal civil service examinations entirely in their mother tongue. The federal government is also legally mandated to actively develop and enrich these languages, formally representing them in national literary academies and state-funded broadcasts. By securing the spoken word, the state inherently protects the physical culture tied to it. The literature of these regions maps directly onto their distinct built environments, from high-altitude shrines to massive stone temple complexes. The schedule actively pulls regional languages out of purely local, spoken traditions and turns them into legally protected instruments of statecraft. When modern nations attempt to suppress regional tongues in favor of a single national language, the result is often violent civic resistance, and in extreme cases, the total fracturing of the state. Language politics in India remain highly complex and fiercely debated today, yet the existence of the 8th Schedule has largely prevented that kind of catastrophic national splintering. The underlying mechanism relies on psychology. When a state secures a mother tongue at the federal level, it removes the existential threat of cultural erasure. Citizens simply have less reason to rebel against a government that legally protects their right to exist as they are. For the founders, accommodating linguistic diversity served as a strict pragmatic requirement to hold a massive democracy together. Look closely at the tagline anchoring this infographic, "Proud to be Indian." In this context, it functions as the intended psychological output of the policy. The constitutional framework engineers a system where fierce regional pride and an overarching national identity reinforce one another rather than compete. And the list is not closed. The 8th Schedule remains a living document, fully capable of expanding as the nation's understanding of its own demographics continues to evolve. A functioning, unified republic does not require complete cultural uniformity. Here, national unity relies entirely on the rigorous legal protection of diversity.